Okay, sorry, Joey. I'm going to take this one just to start us off. I will ask you folks some questions. Pop this up a little bit because I'll need space below. Sam, what's the subject of this sentence? Very good. Trevor, what's my verb? Uses. Trevor, what is Ralph in the sentence? Well, what do you think? Is it directly receiving the action of being used? Is it being used directly? Yes. Therefore, it's what type of object? Correct. Very good. To represent the human characteristic of leadership, what is left? No, the whole thing is not an indirect object. An indirect object is some other noun that receives the action of the verb indirectly. So if I throw you the ball, you is the indirect object. No, I'm saying which type of verbal has Marissa written? It's an infinitive. And infinitives act as what parts of speech? Nouns, adjectives, or adverbs, not all of them, but the other three primaries, noun, adjective, adverb. Here's how you determine what. Ask yourself, what is to represent the human character of leadership doing? What's it telling me? How he uses them, right? Or what he uses them for. How he uses them or what he uses them for. Therefore, what is it doing? It's modifying uses. It's acting as an adverb. Does anybody have a page where you see an infinitive being used? What page is that? 48. But in 48, you see an infinitive being used as what? Predicate. It's a predicate nominative. I want to use one as a modifier. Do we have any examples in here? Take a look at page 48. Do you see how that tree brings the infinitive up above the line? Okay, that's where it's being used as a predicate nominative. Now let's imagine it's falling below. So what you do is basically the same structure, however, it's attached below the word that it modifies. Now you already know this, that words that modify should be attached below the words they modify. To represent the human character of leadership is modifying the word uses, so attach it below. A lot of this should look familiar. There's not all that much difference. So far, so good. But what about the rest of it? Brian?
Sorry, how is this different from, because it's diagrammed the same way as an indirect object, how do you tell whether it is or not?
How do you tell whether it is or not a direct object or an indirect object? I guess by looking at the content of it, because so represents a verb. You can't give something to a verb, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would question myself there and look at the content of the word that's on the horizontal line.
Okay.
Joey.
When you create another little thing.
Describe thing.
The base thing.
Another baseline?
Yeah.
Aha, you've got the right idea, but you haven't noticed that I've already created another baseline. I've got one right there.
And then you would put characteristic and then the human modifies that and then okay.
You've got it.
Joey, you're so smart.
You are all so smart. It's just that some of you don't know it. No, in fact, let me modify this so it doesn't connect. Now, Joey went through that pretty quickly. Let me explain exactly what he did. He said, if I caught him correctly, that goes there. Why, Joey? Do you notice where I put it and what it looks like? No, it doesn't look like a subject. It looks like a direct object, right? It's receiving the action of that representing. It's what's being represented. So it's diagrammed in the same sense. Folks, grammar diagrams make sense. If this word characteristic is receiving the action of the verb, it goes in that position. Ralph is receiving the action of this verb. It goes in that same position. There's repetition of this positioning. So if you learn it once, chances are pretty good that it's going to reappear somewhere else. Now let me give myself a little bit more space. Okay. I'm about to. That's what Joey was saying also. I'm going to extend my line a little bit. What is of leadership? Faye, what's of leadership? Prepositional phrase. And there you go. Golding uses Ralph to represent the human characteristic of leadership. The only thing that is relatively new in this is understanding what an infinitive is. But a lot of the diagramming principles are the same. Very little is new.